So a lot of people in BookTube are booktubing about the books for which they're most thankful, and I think it's an awesome idea. And so here goes my books that I'm most thankful for. I'm doing this in 5 sections. The first, I'm talking about books that turned me into a reader. Next, I'm talking about the books that completely sucked me in, those books that I was completely involved in the world. I'm also going to talk about the books that made me laugh, the books that changed my life, and then the nonfiction books that rocked my world, with also a bonus section at the end that I'll save till later. So to get started, I am most thankful for the books that turned me into a reader. And those are the books that, in my formative years, really gave me the love of reading. And first and foremost, I'm not sure how many of you will remember these, but it's the Choose Your Own Adventure books. I've told Tezzy about these books. They're the ones that you would turn the pages as you're reading it, not quite like a normal book, and say you get to page 4 or 5, and the story was talking about, walking down a hallway, and then you see a door, and then you see another long hallway off to the left, and it says at the bottom, what do you choose to do? Open the door in front of you, or turn left and go down the long hallway? And you could actually turn to that page. You could make that choice. If it says you want to open that door, you turn to page 27. If you want to walk down the long hallway, turn to page 158. And so you'd kind of flip through and find that page to decide what you were going to do, and then read from there. And then a few pages later, you have a new choice to make. The Choose Your Own Adventure books. Those were awesome. I loved them as a kid, and I read those quite a bit. I was a big Dungeons & Dragons player. I loved role-playing, and I think that those books kind of fit that mode of you can decide what you're going to do. It really made you a part of the books, and those are great, so I'm very thankful. The next book that I'm so thankful for that helped turn me into a reader is The Pelican Brief by John Grisham. This is a book that I'd have this vivid memory. I read it in 2 days. It's the first book that, kind of is a thick book, a long story that I read cover to cover in a couple of days because I just couldn't stop reading it. I have this vivid memory of being at the library and staying there almost till it had closed. My eyes were tired, but I just kept reading and reading. I was so into the story. John Grisham is a great author, as many of you know. He writes those page turners where it's just kind of thrilling and exciting. And I was definitely caught up in it. So that was one of those books that early on gave me this feeling of, wow, I can really get into this story. Like the most amazing movie I've ever seen. It was even better because I was just, in the depth of a book. So I'm very thankful to John Grisham for that. With The Pelican Brief, there's probably an honorable mention in there because around the same time I read Stephen King's The Stand as well as Stephen King's Cujo. And those books, I remember I had very similar experiences. And The Stand is about 1,000 pages long. And I just was, completely involved in that book. Really loved it and read it in a very short period of time. And I think that those were the books that, you kind of put those pieces together. It turned me into a reader. So I'm very, very thankful. The next type of books that I am so thankful for are those books that just draw you in, that bring you completely into that world where you're fully immersed in the world that the author created. One such book that I'm so thankful for is Mark Z. Danielewski's House of Leaves. For those of you that have read this book, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is a book that is so rich and so in-depth on so many levels. You have all the metafiction stuff going on. You have the multiple stories going on. You have story upon story upon story. And it was one of those books that just showed me what authors are capable of doing, and I loved it. Another book that I'm extremely thankful for that just drew me into that world was The Virgin Suicides by Jeffrey Eugenides. Now this is a book that is powerful, it's brilliantly written, and it was a book that I related to a lot. It's about, boys growing up. It's a coming-of-age story, if you will. And it's one that I felt a lot of connection to in relation to music and dating and things like that. And it was just a powerfully written story that I loved. And it's still kind of haunting even to this day. And so I highly recommend you guys checking that one out. And probably a good honorable mention here is Juliet Marillier's Daughter of the Forest. This was a book that it was powerful. Her writing is gorgeous. The prose is par none. The next type of books that I'm so thankful for are those books that changed my life. Now, it goes without saying that, of course, the book that I'm most thankful for is the Bible. I've gone through some times in my life where I'm on cloud nine and times where I'm way down here in the dumps. And the Bible is part of that inspiring, powerful truth that I need to hear. And if you're ever going through a hard time, go to the Psalms, turn to almost any of them, and just begin reading them. You're ever unsure of what to pray? Pray the Psalms. Powerful. It's the most meaningful document you can imagine. Think about this. It's been around for over 2,000 years, and it's still valid and probably the most important book in many people's lives, not to mention the #1 seller still. Probably more than honorable mention here is The Lord of the Rings by Tolkien. Is a book that changed my life. Their emotions are on the outside, as C.S. Lewis used to say. And so I love The Lord of the Rings. Obviously, it was one of the most influential books in my life, as you can tell. And so I'm extremely thankful for Tolkien and all that he was able to accomplish. Another set of books that I'm very thankful for are books that made me laugh. Just books that had me laughing out loud, whether I was in a coffee shop or in a library, just laughing so loudly that I was even kind of embarrassed. Those are books that I'm so thankful for because they teach you that books can make you laugh and that you can be so immersed in a story that you're just cracking up laughing. The first of these is A Confederacy of Dunces by Jonathan O'Toole. The story of the Ignatius J. Reilly, who is absolutely probably one of the most iconic characters ever created in a book. But if you read the book, it's hilarious. More books that I'm thankful for that made me laugh. You have, of course, A Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. Classic, hilarious. The whole scene with the aliens that make you listen to their poetry. I remember I was laughing so hard I had tears in my eyes and I was in a Starbucks and people kept looking at me, but awesome stuff. And also The Sirens of Titan by Kurt Vonnegut. Not the whole book, but certain scenes in that book just had me actually busting up laughing. Very thankful for those books. So lastly, I want to mention these books that were nonfiction and they just rocked my world. These are real events, real people, real things that are happening, and it's powerful. And it just, turned me upside down and brought a whole new understanding to my life. First was Life After Death by Damien Eccles. This is the biography or autobiography, if you will, of Damien Eccles, a man who was sentenced to death and who spent 18 years of his life on death row. He tells the story of how he got there, how he was absolutely and completely innocent, and how he was eventually exonerated for those charges. Obviously, thank God, never put to death. He's currently living as a free man. He's married, has kids, etc. Powerful story. Another book that was nonfiction, rocked my world, Matt Taibbi's The Divide, Injustice in the Age of the Wealth Gap. Powerful story, how they must confront these inequalities on a regular basis. Incredibly powerful. It will rock your world if you read it, and I please encourage you to do so. So on this Thanksgiving, I wanted to add in books that I'm so thankful for because these are the books that turned me into a booktuber. And don't laugh, you might chuckle, but the books that turned me into a booktuber, I have to admit, it's probably true. First off, were the Twilight series books. I read those books, and yes, I admit it, I became a fanboy. I was, seeing the movie a gazillion times. I was getting the soundtracks. We were even having hosted parties where we would, do Twilight trivia, and just they were great times. And I remember throwing books across the room because I was so involved in the characters and the story. You guys remember the days. You do. I was one of those, but it brought me to the BookTube world, and that was a lot of fun. Tezzy right now is shaking her head back there because she can't believe it, but it's a fact. I would like to thank you on this Thanksgiving for watching this video. We have so much to be thankful for here at MathomBooks. I'm thankful for Tezzy, who's back there. I'm thankful for this channel and for just you guys watching and being a part of this community. It's a lot of fun. And I just wish you guys all the best. Be safe these holidays. Remember that there's a reason why you're thankful, right? We're not just accidentally thankful. There's a reason. We've been blessed with things. And there's a reason for that. So I encourage you to continue to read. I hope these books have brought some new ones to light, or maybe perhaps given you a perspective that you haven't heard before. And if so, please talk to me. Let's talk books. My name is Jeremy.
My name is Desi.
We're MathomBooks, and we look forward to hearing from you. Find your voice.